Lweni Afsheni Tobelanda. Today we have a 2022 question paper of a delict, and we are starting with the questions. Thanks for watching my YouTube channel and welcome, guys. And today we are going on. So we are starting with this one of a PVL, the law of delict, this question paper. When we are done with this question paper, we'll go to another question paper. So this is the only place where if you're working or you have no friend, you must come. So let's skip question number 1 and question 2. We'll come back for those questions. Let us start with the, when you get a question paper, I want to start with those questions that we'll finish them quickly. Then we go to the bigger questions. So yeah, let's start here. Jenna asked Connie to look after her dog while she is away on vacation. Connie takes the dog for a walk in the park. She orders the dog, which is well trained, to bite Ben, against whom she bears a grudge. The dog immediately attacks Ben. Ben hits the dog over the head with a basketball, killing the dog. On returning from her vacation, Jenna instituted a claim for damages against Ben. The Ben is the one who attacks the dog and kills. Ben does some internet research, but he is not sure whether to rely on private defense or necessity. And then the question is saying, which one of these two grounds of justification would you recommend to Ben and why? Listen to the question very carefully. Which one of these two grounds of justification would you recommend to Ben and why? So let's start to answer this question. In order to answer this question, we'll start with necessity. Then, under necessity, we'll ask ourselves a question. Was Ben, the question that you must ask is that under necessity, you must ask whether was Ben First question that you must ask to know whether it's necessity is to ask whether Ben was protecting legal interest. Number 2, was Ben did Ben violate interest of innocence? This is how you answer the necessity. You must ask yourself this question before you write. Was Ben protecting legal interest? Secondly, did Ben violate interest of innocent person? Then if it happened, then the justification of necessity will be applicable. Then let's go. Okay. So now we are going to private defense. The questions that you must ask in the private defense is that was an attack directed to aggressor, whom we call him Jenna, since Jenna is the one who institutes a delictual claim. So we must ask ourselves whether, let me put this one. We must ask ourselves whether was an attack directed to aggressor if it is a private defense. And then we must ask ourselves whether was Ben protecting a right, which you can say the right to life or the right to personality, physical integrity and all those stuff. So this is how, guys, you must ask yourself questions in order to find. Remember, let me make it clear here. Let me put it like this. Let me go to the insert so that you understand in putting it like this. Here in the middle, we have a dog. We have a dog. Here, we have a Ben. And then here, we have Connie. And then here, we have a Jenna. Right? So we have a Connie, we have a dog, we have a Ben, we have a Jenna. Jenna is the owner, has the ownership over the dog. Let me put in this way. Jenna has ownership over the dog. Dog belongs to Jenna. Now, these two have a grudges. Ben and Connie have grudges. And then when Jenna has ownership over the dog, decided to give dog to Connie so that she can walk around with it on the park. Then this dog worked with Connie, but belongs to Jenna. Then Connie decided to incite a violence using a dog. So Connie incited a dog to attack Ben. And then Ben responded by killing the dog. But Connie is not the owner of the dog. The dog belongs to Jenna. Now, when we talk about private defense, was an attack directed to aggressor? Attack was directed to dog that is owned by Jenna. It was not even directed to Connie. It was directed to dog that is owned by Jenna. Remember, the dog doesn't act in the delict. Only natural person and the juristic person acts. Therefore, because dog doesn't act, the person that the aggressor, it means that here it should be Jenna who is standing on behalf of the dog. But because she's not present, it means that she's an innocent person, and his interest was violated by Ben. Therefore, when we can say that the Ben violated the interest of Jenna, because Jenna is the owner of the dog, and the dog was killed by Ben in response of the incite by Connie. Therefore, Jenna has a right to claim for delictual remedy. However, Ben can rely on the necessity, saying that it's necessary for me to kill the dog. Therefore, you go and communicate with the person you give the dog, because the person that you gave the dog has no manners. You gave the dog to someone that incited that dog to bite me, but unfortunately I killed your dog. So it is not my problem. It is the one you gave a dog to. So you must go and talk to that guy. So it is very clear here that Ben was protecting his life, and then he violated the interest of Jenna, who is the third innocent person. And then it means that this necessity will be more recommendable than private defense, because private defense is that the attack was not directed to Jenna. However, let me put it in this way. If now we remove this one, let's remove Connie, all right? In order for it to be, let's remove Connie. Let's remove Connie. Now, this is Jenna, this is Dog, this is Ben. Now, Jenna has a grudge against Ben. Then Jenna decided to incite his dog to bite Ben. Then Ben kills the dog. It means that Ben can rely on private defense because the attack was directed to the aggressor. I told you that in the delict, the animals cannot act unless if they are acting on behalf of the owner. Therefore, because Jenna is the owner, if he incites a violence and incites a dog to attack Ben, Ben kills the dog. Ben will rely on private defense. Why? Because the attack was directed to the aggressor and Ben was protecting his right. But the situation in this question is different because there's an innocent person whom the interest was violated. So I know now you know the difference between necessity and private defense in terms of answering this question. It's clear, okay? So let's go to another question since we have answered this question. Since we have done with question 5, as I've said that we'll start with the questions that have lesser marks so that we can go to the deeper questions when we go forward. Okay, we'll come back to this all. Let's go. I was just starting with question 5. Now I've seen other questions, they are easy. So let's start with the question paper now, and let's start with question number 1. Question number 1, John works in the control tower at the Take Flight Airport. He suffers from a rare disease that causes unexpected blackouts. However, he is on prescription medicine that effectively eliminates the possibility of the blackouts. On one particular day, he does not take his medicine. In the control tower, he has a blackout and is unable to give the necessary instructions to departing and arriving aircraft. A catastrophic aeroplane accident takes place during his blackout because no instructions were forthcoming. A potential plaintiff approaches you for a legal opinion. Write an opinion on the question whether John's behavior qualified as a conduct for the purpose of delictual liability. I hope that you can still remember the accident that happened in Brazil where, okay, let me try to bring that one. If you know, you can remember this story when they said the fuel shortages and negligence caused the airplane crash that killed 71 people in 2016, including most members of the Brazilian football team Chapecoense. Colombian authorities have concluded The team was on its way to Medellin in Colombia to play a South American Cup final. But the most important thing that I want to show you is how they've written that the fuel shortages and negligence caused a plane crash that killed 71 people in 2016, including most members of the Brazilian football. And then I want to show that officials said crew members ignored a low fuel warning when the plane was about 40 minutes from its intended destination. Instead of making an emergency landing at a neighbor airport, they headed on towards Medellin, and British Aerospace ran out of fuel. The flight that took the Brazilian players to Medellin was operated by Lamia, a charter airline registered in Bolivia, whose general manager was charged with manslaughter following the accident. The airline's sole surviving owner, Marco Antonio Rocha, is also wanted for manslaughter but is currently at large and has refused to return to Bolivia, claiming that he will not receive a fair trial. So I was just want to show about the conduct, the different conduct that have been in this scenario. The first one is that they realized 40 minutes ago that the plane was running out of fuel. Then instead of them making an emergency landing, they decided to take a risk, therefore ending up killing more than 71 people. So that was this scenario that I'm going to put to that scenario that we have read. When you answer the question, you must make it clear that John had a prescription medicine that effectively eliminates the possibility of the blackout. Then he decided not to take medication, which meaning that he was negligent. The guy was negligent. Then, as a result of his negligence, he suffered. He suffered from blackouts. Then when he suffered from blackouts, the aeroplane crashed. Instructions. Since this guy was the one who gave such a thing, let's just say airplane. Then when you write, you must ensure that John had a prescription medicine that effectively eliminates the possibility of the blackout. Then he decided not to take medication, which is part of the negligence. Then he suffered from blackouts. Then the airplane crashed due to not given instruction. So if we can rewind back, John, if he took a medication here, it means that he would not have suffered blackouts. And then he would have given instruction to this airplane. Then there will be no crash. Right? Now we go to the conduct. In the conduct, don't forget that let me just say, only natural person natural persons and juristic can act. So in the conduct, number one that you must state is that only natural persons and juristic can act. So this means that because John is a natural person, he can qualify as a conduct due to the fact that natural person and only juristic can act. Okay? So another thing is that the act should be voluntary. So the act or the conduct should be voluntary. Should be voluntary. Another thing that is most important is that the voluntariness does not mean that a person must have willed or desire his conduct. Right? This is what you must know very well. However, you will understand we are still going forward. We will deal with this voluntariness as it means that you must not be willed or desire such a conduct. So those are the three things that you must retain that qualify as a conduct. Firstly, is he a natural person or juristic person? Yes. John is a natural person. Number two, the act should be voluntary. So to check the voluntariness of the act, we must know that it does not mean that a person must have willed or desired his conduct. So in this instance, John had a medicine that effectively eliminates the possibility of blackouts. And then he decided to be negligent. Then he suffered from blackout. Then the plane crashed due to the fact that it was not given instructions. Then as a result of that, voluntarily, he has met all these three elements of a conduct. Therefore, John can be said that John was voluntary. However, now we are coming to this one. However, it must be borne in mind that John can rely on the automatism. Since these three elements have been present, and it is very clear that John actions qualifies as a conduct. However, John can rely on the automatism that he suffered from blackouts, and then that's why he caused the airplane. Right? Let's see if he can qualify to the defense of automatism. The defense of automatism, number one, is just that John's conduct must be mechanical. Okay? He should have acted mechanical. The first one is that John should have acted mechanical. It means that he was not voluntary. He was just involuntary. So he just acted mechanical like a machine. Yeah. He suffered from blackouts, then he didn't act normally when he's in the state of mind. That's when he's now raising the defense of automatism. And we must know that mechanically is a condition that may cause, that may cause a person to act involuntarily, in that they render him incapable of controlling his bodily movement. So that is what John is raising, that I've acted mechanical, meaning that I was in the condition that I couldn't control myself. So my body was just moving involuntarily, mechanically. So that's John. That's the thing that you must write, that he raised that the condition that if John acted involuntarily, right? And sorry guys, here, let me go up. Here on the negligent, where I put negligent, I forgot to put intention. It's very much important to put intention, because he may not decide to take medication negligently or intentionally. So it's very important that you put negligent and you put intention. You will understand when we come now to talk about the automatism, right? What is important another is that if John intentionally created a situation in which he acts involuntarily in order to harm another, we call it actio liberal in causa. The defense of automatism will not stand, right? If he intentionally created such a situation, then it is very clear that the defense of automatism will not stand. We call it actio libera in causa, right? So another thing is that John will not rely on automatism if he was negligent. We talk about the situation where a reasonable man will have foreseen the possibility of causing harm while in a state of automatism. So that was a 10 marks for nothing that you should get in the examination. I hope that I've answered you very nicely. The firstly thing you must show the requirements of conduct, which are natural, person, or juristic. The act should be voluntary, and that voluntariness does not mean that a person has been willed. And then, if that conduct are present, then it's regarded as a conduct. Then, secondly, you must prove that whether he will rely on the defense of automatism or not. I have told you that John should have acted mechanically, which is the condition that put a person to acting voluntarily. If John intentionally created such a situation, which is called actio libera in causa, the defense will not stand. If they rely on automatism, if he won't rely on automatism if he was negligent, where the reasonable person will have foreseen the possibility of causing harm while in a state of automatism. Then it means that John deciding not to take medication can be negligent in terms of arresting a reasonable person, or intention in terms of libera causa. Therefore, all those automatism are not present for this guy. Unfortunately, this conduct, if the act or his actions qualify as a conduct, therefore he will be liable. We are done. I will come back with another videos, so that I'll be making more videos about different modules, so that you understand. It's the only place where you get the correct answers and you get the real information and the way you must answer the question. Thanks guys for watching the video. We will meet when we discuss another modules.